It's time to take a look at all the upcoming characters and factions after version 1.1 with updated information. I have done a lot of research about everything, so let's get right into it. Let's start with the Sons of Calydon. It's already confirmed through drip marketing that we can expect to go to the Outer Ring in version 1.2 for the first time, and this is a place where we will meet the Sons of Calydon for the first time in the story. First we have Caesar King.
I'm Caesar, the leader of the Sons of Calydon.
Caesar turns out to be the leader of the Sons of Calydon, and she uses a sword and shield as her weapon. She will be of the defense role and of the physical damage attribute. She also seems to have some connections with Billy, which is quite interesting, but at the same time not surprising at all when you look at Billy's outfit, looking quite similar to a lot of outfits from the Sons of Calydon's characters. Next we have Bernice White of the Sons of Calydon.
Mixologist Bernice, so glad to see ya.
Bernice uses two flamethrowers as her weapons. She is of the anomaly role and of the fire damage attribute. She seems to be a mixologist and likes nitro fuel. Everyone from the Sons of Calydon has something to say about her that implies that she likes mixing drinks or even some kind of fuel for vehicles. The third upcoming member of the Sons of Calydon is Lighter. While we have little info about Lighter right now, we do encounter him in the game once or twice, so we know how he looks like in-game, and we also have an idea what his weapon will be. In the release trailer for Zenless Zone Zero, he is wearing a gauntlet that looks like this, so we can expect him to probably use this as his weapon, which would make him the first character to use a gauntlet as a weapon. Then the last Sons of Calydon member that we know of is someone we have almost no info about right now, but he will probably be a playable character, or if not, at least play an important role in the main story, Big Daddy. When you look at Caesar's lore info, Big Daddy says, "She is waiting for a coronation of flames. I know she'll do a better job than her father did." So this means that he knows Caesar for quite a long time and that Caesar's father could have been the Sons of Calydon's leader in the past, and Big Daddy is somehow connected to the Sons of Calydon. Next we have Section 6. We know a lot about Section 6 and we keep encountering their members in the story, but we still have no confirmed info on when we will see them, but my guess would be in version 1.3 or a bit later. First we have Tsukishiro Yanagi. Yanagi is the deputy chief of Section 6 and she uses a naginata as her weapon. While we don't know which character role she will be, we do know that she is of the electric damage attribute. We also know two of her attacks. The first one looks like this, and the second one looks like this. She seems quite strong with aggressive attacks, so my guess would be that she is either of the attack or anomaly role, but unfortunately we don't know yet. Next we have Asaba Harumasa. Harumasa uses a bow as his weapon and he is of the electric damage type attribute. It seems like Harumasa can switch his bow into two blades to use as his weapons. If you look closely to his first attack, you can actually see him doing a combo with his two blades and then turns them into a bow and shoots the enemy. And his second attack looks like this. So it seems like his bow will be his main weapon and he can shoot a volley of arrows. His character role is still unconfirmed unfortunately. Then we have Hoshimi Miyabi. Miyabi seems to be the leader of Section 6 and she uses a katana as her weapon. She was actually a playable character in one of the closed beta tests for Zenless Zone Zero. At that time there was no character roles in the game yet, so we are not sure which role she will be at this point, but what we do know is that she is of the ice damage attribute, and since she is using a katana as her weapon, it is highly likely that she will be a damage dealer. Miyabi was also so popular in the beta test that the devs decided to remove her from the game to get more valuable data on the other characters before the game released, and it turns out that we are still waiting for her to be released since she isn't available from the standard banner. Next we have the Obol Squad from the Defense Force. When you do Soldier 11's agent story, you will eventually run into some trouble and Soldier 11 asks you to contact her squad to somehow get a hold of a person from Obol Squad called Trigger. Now we know a few things about Trigger. She seems to work with Soldier 11, and we also know her voice.
I see you.
Trigger seems to be using a sniper as her weapon, and Trigger seems to be working well with Soldier 11. Soldier 11 also mentions this later in the game about Trigger.
Trigger says I'm the target of our weekly psychological health report. I think I've caused the captain some trouble.
So it seems like Trigger works closely with Soldier 11, confirming they are probably in the same squad and that Trigger cares for Soldier 11. The second character we know of is Obol Squad's captain, Captain Magus. Soldier 11 actually mentions this captain countless of times throughout Trust events. When you walk into Soldier 11 at the arcade, she mentions that her captain says playing video games is one way to improve her combat skills. She then says that she is going to report to this captain with the intel she obtained from the arcade. The next time she mentions this captain is when she wants to rent a movie from you. You end up watching the movie with Soldier 11, and this time Captain Magus told Soldier 11 to watch a movie to learn some combat skills. So it turns out Captain Magus is actually a pretty chill guy that tells his soldiers to go play games and watch movies to train them. The last known member of the Obol Squad that Soldier 11 mentions is when you meet up with her at the noodle restaurant. You end up ordering super spicy noodles with her, and she mentions that she used to recommend food to her teammates, but only Seed listened to her. He is an intelligent construct. Now this is the only time she ever mentions Seed, but it's also giving us some crucial information here. She says he is an intelligent construct. Now if you didn't know, Jinyu is also called an intelligent construct in the game. So this basically confirms that Seed will most likely be a robot of some sort, much like Jinyu, which is pretty cool. Next we have the virtual idols. The virtual idols got announced after a leak, and even their faction's name is not final yet. We do have some pictures about them, and the first character seems to have two appearances. The first one is a robot, and the second one has an appearance of a human. Maybe this character can change into this robot, or she can control this robot somehow. Regardless, it seems that the robot is the one with the weapons, since it says weapon over here. Her weapon seems to be related to her hands, which I'm guessing can shoot some lasers out of it or something, which would be pretty cool. The second character seems to be dual wielding hammers, which is pretty awesome, and I like that idea about her. There is also an electric mark here, so she could be of the electric damage attribute potentially. The third character has a backpack and a megaphone, which makes sense for an idol group faction, and she is most likely the lead singer of the idol group. I wonder how exactly this megaphone and backpack will be used as her weapon. If you zoom in and look closely at her megaphone, it seems to have a charge meter here, so I wonder if her weapon will build up charge, much like Jinyu, before you can do a powerful attack. One thing all three of these characters has in common is their wings. Two of them has their wings attached to them, giving me the idea that at least some of them might be robots, and this character has her wings on her backpack, giving me the idea that she is probably a human. Next we have Mockingbird. Mockingbird is one of the factions we haven't seen much of in the game yet. It turns out that Lycon used to be a part of Mockingbird and he left this group eventually. What we know about Mockingbird is that they are a thief syndicate that only steals from the rich and gives to the poor. We encounter a group of people in the game that claims to be Mockingbird, but in the end it turns out that they were just imposters. After finishing Lycon's story, we get to see a cutscene from Lycon's past when he was still with Mockingbird and he talks to one of the Mockingbird's members. We don't know this character's name that Lycon was talking to, but this character seems to want to meet Lycon again and calls him a traitor, making it sound like trouble. You can also see on this coin that it says Mockingbird and below it Mockingbird Gallery. This makes sense, and I can see how Mockingbird has something to do with galleries and steals some expensive paintings quite often from rich people and gives it to the poor. Whether or not this will be a playable faction or not is still to be confirmed, but there definitely seems to be a possibility, and if not, it could turn out to be a new group of villains that we have to deal with in the story. Next we have the Void Hunters. The Void Hunters is not a faction actually, but instead a title that was given by the first mayor of Eridu to 7 characters for being key players in the suppression of the catastrophe an era ago. They were the hunters of disaster, the defenders of the city. So they have a huge influence somehow in protecting the city in the past and are the good guys. The first character is the Swordmaster, the 3rd generation head of the Hoshimi family who took down the Exalted Overseer. Now this confirms that Hoshimi Miyabi's family is actually one of the Void Hunters, which is impressive. The second character is Lady Sunbringer, the former CEO of Marshall Group who eradicated the Hive Lord Hollow in the Sky. She is also the one who invented bamboos. Just a fun fact to confirm this, if you look at the Bupon's description, which you use to pull on a bamboo's banner, it actually says that it is issued by Marshall Group, so we know that this Marshall Group still exists till this day. Whether or not they will be a playable faction in the future or just a manufacturer for bamboos, we don't know for now. The third character is the ace of the investigation guild, Leader Joyous. It seems like he went through a divine maze and created the standard for hollow exploration routes. We don't know if he is an investigator or a proxy, but I think he might be a proxy and that's why it isn't confirmed. Proxies has to keep a low profile, otherwise they can get into trouble, which makes sense to me why he's so mysterious. What this means is he could potentially have some connection with Wise and Bell, but we have no idea for now. This also means that the Investigation Guild could be a faction in the future potentially, consisting out of investigators and proxies. The 4th, 5th and 6th character seems to be quite mysterious for now. Colonel Vike and Lieutenant Colonel Dan of the Guard of Staves, and the leader of the Falkenhayn mercenary troop, which we don't know the name of unfortunately. They apparently pushed the Dark Walls 37 kilometers back alone, so it sounds as if they are extremely strong. You can also see one of the characters has wings, so I wonder if she will be able to fly, which would be pretty cool. So we have heard 2 potential factions names from these 3 characters, the Guard of Staves and the Falkenhayn mercenary troop, both of which I haven't heard of in the game yet. Then the 7th character of the Void Hunters is Professor Archie, the founder of the Helios Academy. Professor Archie was responsible for discovering hollows and he entered Hollow Zero to seek out the truth. After that he hasn't returned from Hollow Zero, and it has been a whole era already, so maybe something happened to him and hopefully we will be able to find out eventually where exactly he is.